Welcome back. Today I'm joined by two guests. I have Luke Garry and Andrew Greeley here. Thanks for being here, fellas.
Thanks for having us, bro.
Cheers for having us, brother.
My pleasure. It's hard to know where to start. There's lots to talk about. You guys have had a lot on lately. I guess the real important question here is, who's better at golf?
I reckon, it's even, eh?
Yeah, it's probably even.
We're both on par.
No birdies here.
Yeah.
Our mate Johnny's the best one.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a perfect answer. I'm not even going to add to it. All I know is how to hit the roof at the driving range. So you guys are doing better than me.
No, he hit a roof too.
Yeah.
Wasn't a driving range though.
I hit a house. He nearly hit me. Yeah. Besides that, though, it was good.
At least you're not hitting other people. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I got close.
How did you guys connect anyway?
Yeah, well, you've...
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I've listened to some of Greeley's music and stuff, but yeah, it really caught my eye when I seen him on YouTube, man. So he was with Spanian. Sitting in my lounge. That's the same house now that Grills is at now, in Mandurah. Watched him on YouTube. Then from there, we just both kind of started looking at each other's stuff on social media. Yeah. And literally just started with, how you going kind of thing, like a comment. And then we just built our relationship from there. So,
Yeah, I've started seeing all his content and I loved it. You know, I've lived with Noongar Mob before and just seeing the sense of humour on social media, you know, just seeing someone from his mob creating funny videos with the slang and language and all that. And I was loving his stuff and cracking up. And then I don't remember who messaged each other first. I think I was commenting on your stuff.
Yeah.
And then you were like, hey, I saw you on this. And then we just started talking that way until eventually we ended up getting on the phone. And then, just over the last year especially, we've just become good friends. And it's all fallen into place. Yeah.
Yeah. And convo is just about everything and anything.
Yeah.
So
I think, we first and foremost, like we've both had people ask us, like, how did you network with each other? But we just ended up organically becoming friends. And then, building up to the battle event that we just had with Breaking Bread Battles. I was yarning to him when I was first manifesting it and putting it together. And, because he'd never been over to Melbourne before. And, I was telling him about the ideas of it. And, I was talking with Cursor a lot at the time. And, that event especially came together through him and I talking about bringing battles back. There were some guys in Sydney that said they were going to put on the first ever rap battle league in Australia. And,
Did you share that?
Yeah, I made a video out of it, And Kirst and I were having a chat like, do people not remember, you know what I mean? And Kirst said, set up some battles, I'll come down and host it. And I was telling Luke about it, and he was like, I was like, you should come over, So, a few months later, he ends up coming over, and, that's where we met in person. And then, I decided to come over here after doing that event, trying to get the word out, continue the movement of, supporting the hip-hop culture that's coming together through it. Breaking Bread's a really good, events and promotion company that a good friend of mine, T, runs. And since I started doing events with him, it's just been blessed, man. It's honestly, some of the best hip-hop events I've ever put on. And I really just want to do what I do, I guess, in the culture of bringing everyone together from different parts of the country, different backgrounds, and just using hip-hop to create a broader community and sense of, everyone kind of moving as one together. So, it's just all falling into place, man.
Yeah, everything. And we click a lot on comedy as well. So we both, Grills has done stand-up and stuff like that, and that's been a goal of mine to do. So we connect through comedy and, having a laugh as well as music and stuff. But it's been cool so far.
Yeah,
cool, right?
Yeah, it really has. And it looks like we've just locked in our first venue to do a comedy show together.
That was going to be my question. I kind of heard a bit of a rumor you guys were going to do one together,
Yeah, we're going to do we're going to do one pretty soon.
Here?
Yeah, in Fremantle by the sounds of it. I was just on the phone to the bloke and fire in the belly. So I've just got to email him at the end of this podcast to officially lock it in. But we're just gonna have fun. That's really I guess what we've been doing. We've just been making sure we have fun and kind of putting it out to the universe and just seeing what happens. And from us having a laugh with each other on the phone to him coming over to Melbourne, and it was just a really good weekend, a few of my good friends that, he got to meet, and we just had the best time, even like both of us are sober. We don't really drink or do anything, other substances. So it was good to have like a weekend and just have good laughs. And, we both come from addiction. We're both in a good place in our life where, we're trying to stay away from that, but also do what we love in environments where people are getting lit, and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, we're just keeping the ball rolling and seeing what we can build out of nothing.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, it can be hard to navigate those. I'm the same. So, when you're not drinking and stuff, it can be hard to be in those environments and, it can be distracting for yourself. But we mentioned social media before and you both came from, I mean, Luke, have you always lived in Mandurah or?
Nah, so originally from Maddington, but I grew up in the Kimberleys.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've lived in Mandurah probably about 12 years off and on.
Yeah, so used to not being in main cities and stuff, used to kind of being out of them and like in more isolated areas.
Yeah, pretty much, man. So Mandurah's kind of like, once you're there, you're there. You don't really have any reason to leave kind of thing. There's just everything's there that you need. So you got your family, you got your, your friends, shopping centres, everything's there, and it's at the end of the train line. So it's not really, you don't really leave unless you've got work in the city. So
I need you for the marketing on that place. You're in Mandurah, you got everything you need. I feel like people don't. I've never heard anyone say that about Mandurah, bro. You're bigging it up. I love that. That's great.
Yeah,
people don't give it enough credit, man. I'm from Rockingham. People go, "Oh, Rockingham," and I'm like, "Hey, man, we got shopping centres. We got stuff. We got there's beautiful, man. I mean, Mandurah, the foreshore, the money spent down there. And there's lots of opportunity for people to come together. And as you said, it's the kind of place that is great. And I think they don't get enough credit. Everybody thinks the city's where it's at. And so I guess that I was kind of getting to, because Greeley, you grew up a lot in Tasmania, right? So it's like, isn't it interesting that we talked about social media? You guys both came from or lived in isolated areas. 30 years ago, the chances of you guys meeting each other would have been zero, right? You would have had to be in the same place at the same time.
100%.
So what do you guys think, I mean, separately as well, because I want to hear, Luke, you talk about how you got into social media, but even you as well, Andrew, like what do you think it's done for you guys, and what do you think it's, I guess, done for our society and the ability for people to work together, social media?
Well, yeah, it creates so much connection. For me, using Facebook to network, I came in at the start of Facebook. It kind of became available and popular right as I was turning 18, and I was also rapping. And I was doing lots of battles, and it was through the early days of Facebook I got offered my first rap battle in Melbourne in 2010. So, I guess it's a good way to connect with like-minded people that are into the same thing, and that changed my life from a pretty young age, like it was, I got offered a rap battle in Melbourne. All of a sudden, I've gone from being in an isolated island, being Tassie, and then I'm all of a sudden in Melbourne, 360s there, Thesaurus and Madness, which were two of the biggest battle rappers from America. And so from a young age for me, Facebook was a tool that I could use to connect and get opportunities in different places. And so I've used it like that for a long time, and networked and traveled and, just know that like you can, I guess, you create, you know what I mean? And you put your creation out there, whether it be music or funny content, all that sort of stuff, is a chance that it'll resonate with people that are on the same path. And that's what happened with us. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And what about you, Luke? Like you've obviously, I mean, TikTok's like, I don't even know, is it like almost 100,000 followers on there now? Or
yeah, so one account, I think I've got nearly 70, and then the other one's like nearly 20. So,
right.
Two different accounts.
How did that come about? Like, did you just, were they just snaps to friends initially or something, or?
Yeah, so I used to do some stuff like on, Snapchat. So I used like some of them filters. I'd use them. TikTok came along and was around when COVID hit. And my kids used to use TikTok. I thought it was a bunch of stuff like just dancing and, kids doing stuff like that. And then I got onto a sound, I think it was a Maori fella, like a Māori fella. Used the voiceover, did one video, and it was just like, another day in paradise, chee-hoo, and he's like climbing a tree. Did that, and then that blew off. Then did like another like mental health video, and then that blew off. And then, just since then, man, I just like making people laugh. I get a little bit of like negativity back from it, but for the most part, it's all positive and just like an outlet for me, for my mental health. I like making people laugh and, you know, doing videos with my kids. And it's just, people see a video and sometimes it looks like it's just real easy to do, but you can spend like a good 45 minutes. And I'm a real perfectionist when I do it. So I get, like real picky and you got to edit the video. But yeah, it's just kind of like a distraction for myself, just like an outlet. Because I'm a homebody, just sit and chill with my kids. So it's like my little outlet that I get to do for myself. So, and it's just happened naturally from there. And Facebook, I think I'm up to like 27,000 or something like that. Instagram's 17,000, the other one's like 13,000 or something. But just all natural, man. Just like having fun, you know.
Yeah, and as you said, it's cool that it had something to do with your kids, and because obviously it's probably something that, you know, well, social media is big with the kids, right? So it's like they probably think it's pretty cool that dad's on there, and you know they probably think it's pretty cool that you at school people probably know you, or maybe some of the other parents do, or something like that. Do you get people coming up to you?
Yeah. So there's a few now. At the start, like some of my kids liked it, and then now like my sons like it because they're still little. But my daughters are a little bit older now, so they kind of get a little bit annoyed, and it's just my dad. Like it's, yeah, he's Luke. He's not Uncle Shaneo, and I think that's one thing people get confused. Like it's two different people. So Shaneo's the character, Luke's just the dad. You know, like the normal dude. So. Well, I'm not normal, but a little bit weird.
I mean, yeah, but look, 13,000 people aren't going to follow you if you're normal, right? I mean, we're, you know, that's what markets.
Yeah,
what is normal? Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, you mentioned there was some negativity, right? And so obviously that's good because you can focus on the positive stuff way more. And it happens with battle raps as well. So I wanted to I said I was going to bring this up because I was interested. And you were there. You watched the event, obviously, on the other weekend. So when it comes to rap battles for years, there's obviously been so many different things that have happened, and people get like punched in them, and horrible things happen in them.
Yeah.
But probably the more common thing is that people, you know, say things and then it sort of gets to people, right? And they don't like it. And it's just sometimes it can be something real simple, or they've talked about it beforehand. There's been so many in the past. Years ago, I remember the one that you did with Plans got heated. You did one with Thesaurus that was commented on the other day, and there's been so many, right? But this is the hard part because we're all biased to ourselves. So sometimes we would think, oh, I don't know why he's getting upset about that. Oh, you know, it's a rap battle, but it's not. They're not talking about you, so of course you're going to say that, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what you guys seem to think about. Is there a line? Comedy is very similar.
Yeah.
Is there a line? Do you think there should be any line, or do you think it should just be you can say whatever you want and you have to deal with it?
Yeah, it was like, there's many situations to go from with comedy too. You know, like Isaac Butterfield came down to Tassie and did a joke about some kids that had passed away in a tragic jumping castle accident, and you know. He did it at the comedy show, which once again, it's in a comedy show, but then he filmed that joke and uploaded it to the internet. And some of the family of some of the kids that passed are fans of my music, and it caused a lot of drama. And you know, and then he tried to do but it's comedy, you know, and it's like, well, you're doing it once again in a comedy room. It's in a comedy room, but once you're uploading it to the internet, it's a public forum. You know what I mean? So like. Yeah, you can stand on the fact that like I'm making a dark joke in a comedy room, you know, but once you're uploading it to a public forum, that's a public forum, you know. But I think at the end of the day, we all have to deal with the accountability for what we say. It's not so much, it's like, and you know, I've had to deal with this with many stuff, like even with the song that I wrote about Port Arthur and, you know, the massacre that happened there and Martin Bryant. I dealt with a lot of people that came up to me in the real world and they were really triggered and upset by it, and I had to deal with that, you know. If you're willing to say something in a comedy set, say it in a rap battle, or put it in a song, you have to be accountable for what you're putting out to the universe, you know. It's and like I feel the same with like people that have said things to me that, you know, you could say they crossed the line. At the end of the day, they have to live with what they said, which is a harder thing than me. Like, I don't receive it. You know what I mean? Like, if someone says something to me where I feel like they crossed the line, I say it in a way of like, well, I don't receive that, and you have to live with what you said, you know? And deep down, that's up to them and their moral compass, you know? Like, if they, you know, say something that they are trying to, say over the line for the sake of saying something extreme in a rap battle, or trying to hurt someone's feelings, or trying to make light out of a very dark situation that has hurt people, and they're trying to use it for their own benefit as a comedian, At the end of the day, they have to live with what they said and the repercussions of that, And yeah, the internet's one thing, but the real world's another. And yeah, I've had to deal with the repercussions of what I've put out to the universe or to the world in a public forum in the real world. And that was a lesson I had to learn on my journey as an artist, and also someone that speaks pretty openly about things. There's I come from a culture in Tasmania where a lot of stuff was swept under the carpet, whether it was history, trauma, abuse, corruption, everything, like Tassie was a very, very corrupt place, whether it was police, government, and in such a small community, it was quite obvious, but and there's been times where like I did an interview with the WASP files with the guy that's investigating the Port Arthur massacre, and going into that, I was like, whoa, what can I say? And I had to choose my path of how I'm explaining myself very carefully, when I do know a lot of very deep details about some fucked up corruption,
If I can say anything, I thought you navigated it well.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
yeah. And there's still a lot of stuff I didn't say, because I know too much.
Well, I did. This was a small question, but I did have it in the back of my head. Did you see the Knit Ram?
I haven't watched it.
You haven't watched the movie?
No.
Yeah.
I was in jail with Martin. I don't need to watch a movie.
Yeah, I thought, I was wondering if you'd avoided it and stuff like that. Yeah,
well, man, like, it's like I walked away from that situation, because when you know too much, and it's like everything we're seeing with like Epstein, Charlie Kirk, all these situations where it's just like everyone's like, and you can live your life in rage about stuff that's very obvious, And I've known about, pedophilia within the government in Australia for a very long time, and watching everyone right now getting so worked up and it's like, well, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, go do something. If you really care that much about it, it's hard to live your life like attached to this. And this is where, for me, like faith in God is so important, because if you want to be the one that solves the world's problems and the darkness out there, it's a big job.
Oh, yeah.
And I learned that in prison, being in prison with murderers, rapists, and pedophiles, all that sort of shit. And it's like, what am I going to do? Go and bash every pedo in this prison and stay here with them forever? Or am I going to choose to live my life where I can contribute to the universe in a good way and try and speak the truth and empower people to, live their lives the best way, where they're not hurting people, because unfortunately hurt people, and most people that are abusing or hurting other people have been hurt, and it all comes from somewhere, Yeah,
and then we'll just stay in a perpetual loop of that happening, right, if we're not careful.
And same with like negative comments on, if someone watches his content and that they react, and he's making a funny video and having a laugh, dealing with his own mental health stuff by creating something funny and putting it out there, and they go, da 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 da. That's their reflection.
They're finding the negativity in it.
Yeah, well, that's a reflection of their own well-being. Because if you are really going to make the effort of trying to comment on a funny video and be negative about it, that's your own negativity. That's not him.
Yeah, exactly.
People are choosing to react instead of responding. And so many people are uncomfortable with themselves. They have their own standards of who they think they are. And so many people are projecting personalities to cover up what they're hiding in that way too, and then they see him being comfortable and having a funny joke, and they're just like, oh, and it's because they're watching him be free, Yeah,
it's doing something they don't feel like they can do, right? So how do you deal with it, Luke? Like, is it the kind of thing that you feel like you can brush off?
Yeah, some comments I can brush off, and again, I'm not like a perfect human being or nothing like that. But moving forward, now I've just tried to, change my life and just make all the right decisions now. Like for me and my kids. So some comments get to me, like the racism stuff. I'm kind of used to that. Like, even though it sounds like pretty heavy to say, but I'm used to that because I grew up experiencing racism. It's just some of the comments where I'm genuinely just trying to have a laugh. And they think a character is real. So like Uncle Shaneo is not a real person. It's just a character, and it's just someone That's I feel like we all know someone like Uncle Shaneo, or most people do, and it's just having a laugh. And when people take offence, sometimes I do question myself. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have, I don't know, did these things. But end of the day, I'm not trying to bring negativity into the world. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not a perfect person, but moving forward now, that's all I want to try to do is push positivity and just to show people you can change and you can have a laugh. I'm big on having a laugh because you spend so many years trying to be something that you're not. And then now that I'm a lot older and I've got my kids, I just want to show them like you can make plenty of mistakes. You can, not be a perfect human being, but as long as you're giving it a crack and trying to, because you only got one life, you know what I mean? And I do cop not heaps of hate, but it's kind of died down a little bit now. But yeah, just want to make people laugh, man. And I kind of just block it out now. I used to respond to comments and really feed into it and go back and forth with them and feel like I have to defend myself. But people are going to say what they want to say about me anyway, regardless if it's good or bad. But the person that I am now today is not who I used to be yesterday. That's just, I keep telling myself that. Like, I'm just having fun, going with the flow. But I just don't respond to the comments now. Block them out, block people. But then I look at my kids and they ground me, so they know who I am. They know, again, I'm not a perfect human being, but they show me who I am. You know what I mean? I'm just a family dude, so yeah.
And as you mentioned, well, I think Andrew, kind of you were talking about it before. Like that's just you then doing what those people are doing, right? Because if you reply to those comments and get caught in it, you're feeding the negativity as well. So it doesn't really help you. Yeah. Unfortunately, these apps are designed that they love it when you do that. The more engagement,
it's the algorithm. It's just negative hot potato. you know?
Basically,
You're just like, they're like, here's the negative hot potato. And you're like, here's the negative hot potato. And you just end up negative hot potato on each other, And
it's the Wiggles' fault, man.
Yeah.
They started it.
And like, for me, kind of engaging with the internet years ago in rap battles. Because when you're doing a rap battle, right? And because this man has said it well at the last event, we all have insecurities and nobody is perfect. You know what I mean? And that's where like, and then you do a rap battle, but we're aligned in the fact that none of us are perfect, but that's okay. Like, there is alignment there. And
you can have a laugh at that though, especially if your opponent does it well, right? If your opponent, probably one of my favorite battles that you've done was with Manners, and you're obviously good mates. So so they're sometimes the best ones because that you guys know each other so well. Yeah. And if you guys do a comedy show together, it'll be very similar, right? You guys will know each other so well, and you're such good friends naturally. Yeah, that chemistry comes through.
100%.
Watching two people who actually hate each other battle is good every now and then, but a lot of the time, and you would know this, the anger actually gets to people, and then they end up fucking up. So
100%. Yeah, 100%. And and it's interesting with rap battles as well, because when you put it out there, some of the audience will watch it and they're like, well, they're bagging each other out, so I can contribute and bag them out, Kind of opens the door for that. But it's also, through all the negative that, you can get back from putting yourself out there, it's humbling in many ways, and it can keep you, as long as you see it for what it is and you understand what people are reflecting and where it's coming from, it's always good to check your side mirrors. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy, I guess, especially in social media, when you are building yourself up and you're getting followers and likes, to get very comfortable and confident with like, I might start saying this. And then all of a sudden you are crossing a bit of line of like, what you're putting out there. Like, ego is an interesting thing, man, in that way. And social media, these days you can read people's intentions behind social media,
Oh, yeah.
I think we've evolved to it. You know what I mean? Where like the curtains sort of dropped between, even Hollywood, for example, once upon a time, everyone put these people on pedestals, and now you can kind of see Hollywood for what it really is and how people are trying to create themselves as idols and that sort of way. And you just see the humanity behind everything. And I think social media has really made that possible, that doesn't matter what people are putting out on the internet or whatever mask they're wearing or role they're trying to play, you can really see their intention behind it,
Oh, dude. There's a lot of people I used to love, but then, you watch them do an ad for Royal Match.
Yeah.
And you're like, this guy's doing an ad for a mobile game. all of a sudden, and you've broken this wall between you and this person where you just like, you looked at this person that was in these movies that you loved growing up, and all of a sudden they're doing like a weird sold out ad for a television, and you just kind of, it makes you look at them different immediately. It breaks that wall where you're kind of like, oh, this person is not kind of how we, it's not where we put them. We put them up here.
Yeah.
And they're not like that. And none of us are.
And none of us are.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the beauty of, like, you know, there's a lot of negative sides to social media, but there's beauty as well, is that it's humbled it. Like Will Smith, for example. Everyone sees Will Smith for the cuck that he is now. Straight up, you know what I mean? Like, bless him.
Did you bump the last album?
No, like, no way. I didn't bump his first one. I saw him in Men in Black when I was 7. I was like, yeah, you know.
Like, when the credits rolled, though, that Men in Black like track did slap, though.
It did, bro. Yeah, Men in Black was lit, bro. I'll give him that. You know what I mean? Like,
I think I done a dance to that too, like doing these ones.
100%.
You cranked, right?
That was good shit.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, you can see him now for the, like, pedestal he still thinks that he's on. And, you know, the fact of it is, like, I've got mates that get more views than fucking Will Smith now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because it's not that industry that was set up and all this to put these people on these pedestals. But, you know, this is like my relationship with God gets stronger. It's like you realize self-idolatry and people trying to, like, create themselves as idols. And, you know, the industry does that in so many ways. That's why, you know, you won't hear the industry talking about God that much, because really we are all one, like, under God. And it's all that sort of, like, even, you know, these satanic sort of circles that are in the Illuminati of Hollywood and all this sort of shit. It's people trying to put themselves above God, you know, trying to, like, make themselves idols, false idols, you know. And the more that, and that's what, you know, seeing how these people and what they do behind the curtains to keep themselves up there, and, you know, rituals that they do to get into those circles to be then put on that pedestal. It's all dark shit. And it all comes with humans trying to put their ego on top and then use the people around them for consumption in that way, you know? And it's
man,
really,
you on fire. I bet you motherfuckers didn't expect this.
Yeah.
No, but it's real, man.
It's
like
real, bro.
It's really, and it's hectic as well. I mean, I think Will Smith maybe just has a bad agent, because I feel like if he dropped that freestyle in front of me, I'd be like, we're not going to release that. And then I'd probably maybe like, maybe this album, we won't release that. Yeah. And he definitely could have done some stuff to make his career a little bit better.
Yeah, but these agents don't know shit either.
They definitely don't.
They're just all chasing the ball. Yeah. And it's the same with, like, you know, I even know with the music industry in Australia, the music industry is always trying to chase the culture. You know what I mean? Like Dundee with his, like, last album, he sent it to Sony, and it was an amazing album. Absolutely, like, a remarkable music album of great music, great lyrics, storytelling. Dunners can sing his ass off, rap his ass off. And he sent it to Sydney, and they were like, Sony up in Sydney, and they were like, no, we want this Western Sydney trap stuff. You know, when we were young, there's no way Sony would touch music in Australia that was about trapping and drug dealing and violence and gang shit. But then they realized, oh, now hold on, this, you know, this type of music in America is profitable. We want that now, you know? And when I was 18, like, to get a song on Triple J, you had to, like, have a song about, you know, with a chick singing the chorus, and it'd have to be a love song, and that's what it is. And now there's plain drill, you know?
It's definitely weird. I feel like it's in a weirder spot.
Well, they've realised that negativity promotes itself. Negativity does spread quicker than positive, you know? You can do 100 positive things and they won't put it on the news, and then you can break someone's jaw and you're on the front page. And I experienced that personally. I did a lot of good stuff in my community, and people were still negative towards me as much as I tried to do good. And then I fucked up. I made a big mistake, you know, and boof. Oh, yeah. You know, that negativity spread like wildfire. You know what I mean? And
this is why I stay out of politics, because politics is, as you said, one of the worst ones. You say something about the Charlie Kirk thing, the amount of people that sent it to me and were like, what do you think? I was like, I'm not saying shit to anybody about nothing, because
100%.
First of all, I just want to have a nice day today. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But also, you know, it divided people like COVID did, right? All of a sudden, I mean, I still got mates now who are, you know, on that kind of tip, and they want to talk about that stuff. It doesn't bother me. But you got to be careful with that because there is a ton of people that it is going to bother. And ultimately, no one's stopping you from having that opinion, but you probably shouldn't put it somewhere where it's going to allow everybody to judge you based on one thing you've said, or one thing you've did, because they don't actually know that. Yeah. I was obviously familiar with what you're talking about, by the way, and it hasn't changed my opinion anyway. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't, because that's being a mature adult, I think.
And understanding that, once again, like we were saying, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. And humans are interesting like that. They see someone else they make a mistake, and they're like, "Hey," and it's like, It's rather than thinking about how can I support this person or maybe help guide them so that mistake doesn't happen again. It's just let's make light of it, So it's a big part of it. And the comedy stuff, right? That's going to be part of it. That's going to be, you guys are going to have probably nerves around that. Like, oh shit, we're going to put this together. I wonder if this joke's going to land or this is going to go this way. But you guys have mentioned that you both like comedy. Yeah.
So I'm curious as to like what you guys get around in terms of comedy. Like if you're both a big fan of it, for me, it was like Richard Pryor, George Carlin. I used to watch a lot of old stand-up, and that was my favorite, even the early Dave Chappelle stuff. Yep. Do you guys have anybody like separately, or even maybe you guys like the same people that you kind of grew up watching?
I think like Def Jam comedy.
Yeah.
They used to crank, hey?
Pretty much everyone on there. Even like Chris Tucker, Martin Lawrence, everybody that's kind of mainstream now, in Hollywood. But yeah, all the old school dudes, man. Eddie Murphy, obviously. Even Carl Barron,
Yeah, I'm going to see him. He's coming here in August, I think. Yeah. So we're going to go see him in August. So I haven't seen him live before, but I mean, I'm sure it's just as energy filled as when he's fucking on his DVDs. He's a pretty laid back guy,
Yeah, he's great.
He's relaxing to watch.
He's a brilliant joke writer. He really takes the mundane, normal shit and finds ways to twist it. Yeah, Carl's a wizard, man. I love Doug Stanhope's one of my favorites. He was the real deal.
Doug Stanhope. Why does that name sound familiar? Has he done podcast stuff?
Yeah. I mean, if you watch Rogan, all that crew put Stanhope up where he should be. He is as real as stand-up gets. He won the Robin Williams competition in San Francisco for stand-up comedy. He never really made that transition into movies or anything big because he was too raw. That guy would just he's very anti-establishment. And I got to see him live in Tassie, and he likes to offend people. He loves to cross the line.
Love that.
Yes, he's one of my favorites. I really like what they're doing with Kill Tony because it breaks down the gatekeeping. You know what I mean? Like if someone goes on Kill Tony and they shine, then boom, they can have a career that week, and I think that's really cool. I love just watching that. I studied the stand-up culture when I got into it. My good mate Lewis Spears, watching him go on his comedy journey from years ago when he was sitting in my house saying, I want to be a comedian. Now he's traveled, toured internationally. He just did a really successful tour in Europe. Watching his journey just made me so passionate about it. And then Lewis took me on a 18-show tour all around Australia. From, Tassie over here to Perth, over to Brisbane, and then back down to Melbourne. And I got to do the Comics Lounge in Melbourne to a sold-out crowd, and I was backstage and Carl Barron's signature was on the wall, So to go from, the first time I did it, I was just telling a story about my mate Daz that burned down a lady's flat because she kept snitching on him, to performing at a sold-out show in the Comics Lounge in Melbourne where, Carl Barron, Rodney Roode, those sort of guys have performed. It just made me love it, and I appreciate the culture behind it. And, so then, becoming a fan of Luke's content and us becoming mates and talking to him about doing stand-up. And, it's a hard thing to get into stand-up. And then, a big part of it is trying. You get on stage and you got to try and be funny, and you overthink it. And that's what I learned in the years of doing it. The more you try, the less it works.
Yeah.
When I was doing the tour, I did a couple shows and then I fucked up. I bombed in Adelaide real hard in front of a theatre of 300 people, fully forgot my shit, bombed, and walked off the stage sorry guys. And afterwards I just did my head in. I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed that I didn't sleep for 2 days, just overthinking I can't fuck up like that again. And then the next show was at the Comedy Lounge here in Perth. And I was so tired and exhausted. And I walked on stage and I was just like, ah. And I was like, I didn't try because I was too tired to try. And I just did my material and it fucking popped. And I was like, I get it. You know what I mean? And then next one, I didn't try as much, and just bit by bit, it just became more natural, you know? And
maybe that's Carl Barron's thing.
yeah, well, that's it.
Because he just seems like he's had a muscle relaxant or something when he comes out. That guy is so chill. He seems incredibly, and he's probably just like the rest of us, probably shits himself and gets nervous like any other human would.
Yeah.
But as you said, it worked for you. Maybe that's the key.
You do get to a point where you're not even nervous. Once you're comfortable on stage in front of a crowd, and because I've done hip hop, I've done battles, I've done, so much for a long time, I don't really get nervous in that way because I realise it is just about being present. And when I've done my own comedy shows where I'm doing like an hour and a half to 100 people, it's just me sitting on a stool, like, and I just think I'm in my living room. You know,
I reckon I could have been in that place in Adelaide and just and sat through that, even if you fucked up, and that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But if you choke in a battle, I feel physically sick.
Yeah, right.
I can't. You've been there.
Yeah, when I was watching, and there was a few moments where a few, people that were on the stage, and yeah, I felt sick for them,
bro.
Because it's I don't know how they do it, and they still pick themselves up and just go with the flow. But I think even when you did see people kind of stumble a bit, they got encouraged by everyone. And like you'd hear the crowd and the other, people battling like you got this, like go, you got this, run it back. So I think even when they did make a mistake, they kind of just picked themselves up. But they had the support of like everybody that was on stage, even the crowd, like, you got this. But I think with comedy, that's one thing that's been
doesn't happen the same.
Scary for me. And Grills has always said, just do it like you're in your living room. You know what I mean? Just be yourself. So
you've done anything where you've been up on stage?
Nah,
nothing.
So this would be popping my cherry.
Exciting, exciting, man. Though, right?
Just like the golf.
Yeah.
But exciting. You get to find out so much about yourself when you're in those situations, right? I've done some horrendously awkward shit, and it's like every time I do it, I'm like, that sucked balls, but I'm a better person for it.
Exactly.
You have to learn that. You know what I mean? And
it's good to eat dirt.
You've got the ability to freestyle. So you've probably choked. I've seen you kind of lose it in battles and then just freestyle and be fine. But a lot of people can't do that. But in those moments, that's where you kind of work out like, I've got this in the kind of toolbox if I need it. And so also lucky for you, at least you don't have to do it alone, man. You can go up with someone who you're friends with, which will be cool. Yeah. Because I've been to comedy lounges before, and I watched one where there was 4 people and there was one dude who got up and, just didn't do that well. And that room, Perth Comedy Lounge, is small.
Oh, yeah.
Feels small. And so, it was quiet. And you could see this guy knew what was going on. And being a part of that, you're like, oh, this poor cunt.
Even when you fuck up a joke and you're like, well, and like, the thing is when you're doing comedy, you can't they're going to laugh here. No. If you start thinking that's how it's going to go and they don't laugh, and then it throws you off. But I think that's going to be fun with us doing this show. We're going to call it Cups of Tea with Grills and Uncle Shaneo. And we're going to make a pot of tea, and we're just going to sit on the stage with a microphone each, and we're just going to have a yarn and tell funny stories and just have fun, And I think that's going to be not only a good dynamic for Luke to get comfortable on stage, but, man, when we're talking and we're like this morning, man, we just had the fucking fun morning. We went down to the shop. They had these giant penis-shaped fucking water pistols, and they had a black one and a white one. And so, we were just having fun. And then from that moment on, we were just laughing, talking shit the whole way back. And so, we're just going to take that same energy, take it into a live environment and just see what happens, man. We've both got funny stories to tell each other that we've been saving for it. And then, but we'll also keep it real and talk about, I think we'll talk about mental health. We'll talk about everything that we've both navigated as individuals with, interesting backgrounds. Coming from hard situations, and just make the most of it, because I think through, especially with, the world with how hectic it is, but then also political correctness, people like, you can't say this, you can't blah, 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 but then this shit's happening over here, which is a lot worse than anyone's saying, And I think breaking the tension in society is so important. And, both Luke and I are coming from different cultural backgrounds, coming from different parts of the country, both have our unique experiences, but also have, you know, our stories where we relate. And I think that's an important dynamic for our connection and what we're putting out to the world, is that you can come from, you know, different backgrounds and have fun together and laugh together. And, you know, there's unity through it all.
Yeah, just having a laugh. Like this morning, or even last night, like Grills is, you know, beatboxing with my kids, you know, in the kitchen, and like my sons are having a great time. Like we dropped my kids off to get the school bus this morning, and Grills is like beatboxing with my son, and, you know, little things like that people don't really see on social media or, you know, see us doing. They're the little things I think that are natural but that are fun. So that's why I reckon our comedy is very similar, because we just keep it natural. Yeah, just keep it natural and have a laugh. And yeah, I'm like nervous, but yeah, I think it's just like yarning, like you said. It's just like being in your living room.
Yeah, well, I think that's the like even the movies that you watch and stuff, you can always tell when people have more chemistry, right? Like as actors or whatever it is, like if people got chemistry, it's there and it's always better. Music's exactly the same. Yeah. We've all heard the thing where, you know, you listen to I've said this before, but I'm interested to if you agree, but it's definitely one of the things that has come up before. If you drop an album and the first song I listen to is not the first song and I go straight to one of the collab songs, that's not a good sign usually, because it means I'm just going, oh, there's someone on your album I want to listen to.
Yeah.
But then if the song sounds like someone just dropped a verse on the song, it doesn't sound like you've made a song together.
100%.
That's the same thing to me as if you guys have bad chemistry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I thought you might. A lot of rappers were like, don't go to the collabs on my album, please. That was like, that's insulting,
well, like,
man.
You know, I do like hustle collabs, and but I pride myself on, like, if someone wants, you know, like they look up to me, they listen to my music and they want to pay me for a collab, I'll go out of my way to make sure that I listen to their verse, this concept of the song, and, you know, I go above and beyond. I know a lot of other rappers that are just like, this is what you get, boom. And, you know, then you got fellas out there that have bought verses off this rapper and then they're trying to resell the verse because it doesn't actually match what they've got. But, you know,
reselling verses, didn't even know that was a thing.
That's happening. Yeah,
wow.
But it's because, once again, they're looking at that person for the hype and they want that verse off them for the hype, you know. I feel that the people that contact me for collabs most of the time, they really appreciate my artistry. They appreciate who I am in the culture for hip-hop in Australia. And, you know, if they're willing to contribute to my journey by, you know, helping me with money, and I'm going to return the investment back and actually, like, listen to their song, write something that suits them. And, you know, I love collaborating with people for that reason, because, you know, when you're always making your own stuff, it's just up to you. But when I get a chance to work with different artists in that sort of way, you know, it might be a beat that I'd not usually rap on, or it might be about something, you know, that I don't usually rap about, or a different style of doing it. Like the last one that I did was with the rapper D Robs, and he wanted to do a song about God, and I was like, sick, man. I love the opportunity to kind of like take my journey with God and articulate it through rap in different ways. And it was a really kind of, you know, chill track, and the track came out amazing, man. I was really happy with my verse, and I went to his house and wrote it with him because, you know, he really wanted to create something that was, as he said, like an actual collaboration, not just a bought verse that, you know, put it on a track like that. So, yeah, man.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by the Achievement Apex. Over the last 3 years, the Achievement Apex have gone from their first prototype barbell to having all 3 of their specialty bars featured in some of the world's biggest competitions. Their deadlift bar features their custom design ridge-lock knurling and anti-slack sleeves, which ensures the weight is perfectly centralized every single rep. And on top of that, it's been used for multiple 505 kilo world record attempts. This year, they're expanding their products, kicking off with the full Affinity Grip collection. That includes Strongman Tacky, No Sweat, Invisible Death Grip, and the standout liquid chalk, Alien Grip Jizz. You heard me. Just like their deadlift bar, these grip products have been battle tested at the highest level, including the World Strongman Games. If you're looking to strengthen your grip and avoid dropping the bar, or if you're looking for a new bar itself that is truly second to none, check out the Achievement Apex. Visit apex.fit and use the code PORTAPOTTY at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's apex.fit and code PORTAPOTTY for 10% off your entire order. Bulk Gym Chalk Australia are your go-to suppliers for gym chalk. Whether you are doing powerlifting, weightlifting, strongman, gymnastics, or running a competition event and need bulk supplies and prizes, they've got you covered. Options include block chalk, bowl chalk, liquid chalk, or invisible liquid chalk for those gyms where you aren't allowed other options. They even have a range of athlete recovery bath salts to soak those training aches away. Check out the range at www.bulkgymchalk.com.au. PedTest Australia is a WA-based company providing at-home testing kits for a range of black market substances, underground or counterfeit drugs that can often contain a different substance than what they claim, or nothing at all. In 2024, 5% of oil-based steroids contained no active ingredient. Oral steroids were even worse, 12% contained no active ingredient. PedTest Australia kits provide a quick and cost-effective method of screening products before they are used. Kit results help users make informed decisions about substances they choose to take and therefore reduce the risks they are exposed to. Don't take chances with your health and gains. Test it before you take it. Go to pedtestaustralia.com to order your test kits. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Studio 187 Tattoo. They're located on Guildford Road in Maylands, and I'm a clean skin, but if I wasn't, I would definitely be going to see these guys. They even offer private rooms to get tattooed in if you're not a fan of the open studio structure. You can find them on Instagram at Studio 187 Tattoo. To take us to the end of this one, I'm going to hit you with a lot of, some of them are going to be completely random, that aren't helpful. I watched a video the other day of some guy at the recent grime gig here, and he was asking people what their favorite kind of cheese was. And at first I kind of thought it was weird. And then I watched the entire video because I started being curious about what kind of favorite cheese Devilman liked for some reason. And now I know what he likes. And that's what social media does to us, right? At first you're like, what a stupid video. Then you're watching it and you're like, you know what? Now I know. So, and I don't know why I know. And I'm not going to ask you about what cheese you like. Don't worry.
Oh, I was getting ready to say Jarlsberg.
You're straight on there. Hey, Jarlsberg, I'm all about. I like mozzarella as well. But so I've got a couple here. And I'm going to try to go back and forth. Some of them are just about things from the past, and then some of them are going to be random. The first one is, Luke, if you were a rapper, which you might be in your spare time, who knows? If you were a rapper and you were going to write a verse, right? What do you reckon your first track will be about?
My first track, probably say self-growth. Yeah, self-growth.
I like it.
Yeah,
okay.
and just how you can stumble even during self-growth, and as long as you just keep picking yourself back up, that would probably be something that I'd do, something powerful, just as like a representation for blokes out there, for myself. Self-growth. I
feel like your first track was a lot better than mine. Mine was about smoking bongs. So it sounds like, a very mature answer, bro.
As long as mine's not about smoking meth. So, yeah.
To be fair, I was like 13, I think. So I wasn't quite, as mature. I didn't have the chance to grow. So Andrew, this one is actually just one that I've always wondered about. Years and years ago, this might have been 2013, I think. You were a part of something called LMG Studios, and you guys did a bunch of cypher sessions, all that sort of stuff. We used to download those cypher sessions and play them on my TV while we all got high in my room. Yeah. And then one day they stopped coming out. I was wondering if you can shed some light on what happened there.
So LMG Studios, that was a chapter in the journey of so it all came together through the battles that were happening. And there was a guy called Luke Gardner who we met. He came to the battles and we all ended up going back to his house in Seaford. And I introduced him and Manners. So at the time, Manners had done a music industry course, and Manners wanted to start his own record label. And I introduced him to Luke. Luke had a background in business and stuff like that. And so they met, and they ended up deciding to build a studio and a label. So Luke built LMG Studios with another fella called Rory. And at the time, Birdbrain actually helped with building a lot of stuff in the studio as well. This is when Birdbrain was still living in Victoria. And Manners and I and my partner at the time, we all moved to Melbourne, and we got a house just down the road from this factory, similar to this, where, it was a studio. So the cypher sessions, they started at Luke's house before the studio was built. And there was Aeros. I think the original idea to do the kind of cypher sessions was like we're all hanging out, and there was, you know, cypher sessions from America, and Aeros was like, look at this, and we all like came together, and myself and Fluence, Filthy Phil, and Aeros, I think, were on the first one. And then, yeah, as it all progressed and everything came together, yeah, we made more, you know. There was a lot of substance abuse during those times. I'm just going to say it. Fuck it. People were smoking meth. Like we didn't realize how damaging that stuff was, you know, and yeah, we're all young, and it all kind of built up. The label was fucking started. We released a few projects through the label. There was definitely issues in like ego. There was people that were in the studio that weren't from a hip hop background and weren't creators, that were trying to say how things should be done. There was lots of ego that got in the way. You know, I linked up a lot. Like I got Cursor in there, Alex Jones, all sorts of different people that came down to the studio and did in the booth and interviews and stuff. But really, it was just, there was recklessness, you know what I mean, through the time of like, yeah, allowing substances to get in the way of working together as a team. There was toxic people around. There were people that are in that circle that, you know, I have nothing to do with and don't want anything to do with now because of their actions that they've done since then. People I don't align with in any way, and that sort of, you know, without going in to speak too much of what they've done. But yeah, like.
So it all just shut the bed kind of.
It all just fell apart, bro.
Yeah.
And, you know, like there was a time where like there was a lot of creative good stuff happening, but it wasn't aligning with the bills that were coming in, you know, like because of the toxic stuff that was happening. And there was dramas and issues. And I remember Manners and I, we used to watch The Shield, and Vic Mackey was like a detective in that TV show. And every day, like he'd have some crazy drama that he'd have to fix. And I remember like there was like a 6-month period of just drama. And Manners and I used to be like, man, we feel like Vic Mackey. Like every day there's a drama with this, a drama with that. But now looking back on it, I can see that all came through substance abuse, ego, you know, people trying to build with not allowing it to go with the flow and just organically happen. And then there was one day, Luke came around to our house and he was like, nah, I'm calling it. I've spent too much money on this factory. There wasn't enough money coming through the studio. There was issues with audio engineers that coming and going. Then they got an audio engineer that had no background in hip hop, and he was trying to record rappers with a very different sound that didn't align with the hip hop sound. It just got all over the place, and then it all fell to shit. Really, it all just fucking. And I lived there for 2 years. It was 2 years of my life that I moved to Melbourne to be a part of it. I'd come from like hosting all these rap battles. Had a lot of experience in hip hop culture with, you know, I have a very large network within the culture. And yeah, that's it, bro. It was really substances, ego, and also trying to create for money. You know what I mean? Like trying to be like, all right, it's the old Suge Knight mentality. You know what I mean? Of like, yeah, we're going to do this and I'm going to get a label and blah, blah, blah. And we're all going to be rich and famous, you know? And Australian hip hop back then, there's only a few people that have been able to make it very profitable and benefit in it from that way. But I think, once again, people's expectations of results were outweighing the output of creation and allowing things to organically happen in a positive way. And yeah, it just imploded. It all went to shit. I ended up packing my bags and I think moved to Perth and recorded stuff with Cortex, and we recorded on a laptop in the shed out the back of his house, and it sounded better than this $400,000 studio.
Was that the Smoking With You one, or was that the Weed song?
That happened before that whole chapter.
Yeah, okay.
We did that at the start of the whole LMG chapter.
I thought it looked like you were in that studio actually. Now I'm remembering it, yeah.
No, that was Luke's house.
Okay.
Yeah, that was before the studio was built. But then, I went back and, Cortex is a really good audio engineer, Lahai Creative in the studio that he's now got in Perth. Since Shakedown is, no more, shout outs to Rob Shaker and everything he's done for the community. But yeah, Cortex is a man. If you're in Perth and you want to record high quality, that fella's, is a whiz when it comes to audio engineering. But yeah, even recording on a laptop with the interface and this little kind of like shed thing out the back of his house, we were getting a higher quality sound than we were in that studio, even though it was a boutique studio and had all the things from the recording studio magazines and the compressors and blah, 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 but there wasn't the right people that knew how to use it properly. So it doesn't matter how much flashy shit that you got, at the end of the day, if you don't know how to use the tool properly, it's pointless.
Yeah, I mean, luckily we're in a place that's got flashy shit in it now, but Austin knows how to use it properly. So
exactly.
I'll give Austin
it's a good medium. Yeah, shout out to Austin.
My brother.
Yeah, but yeah,
I just always wondered about that. Yeah, because we used to watch the videos back in the day, and they're still on YouTube and that. So I just always wondered, like, it just kind of
and shout outs to Luke. I actually caught up with him at the last battle event. We hadn't seen each other since all that fucking went to shit because it was a hard one. We were just a bunch of young creatives that we moved to Melbourne for this, and we changed our personal lives, like moved away from our families, all sorts of things like that to be a part of this dream. And then it all ended up imploding, and it left a lot of a sour taste in everyone's mouth. Even Manners and I didn't talk for a while. And that was a massive journey in part of our journey in our friendship was overcoming that, like us moving to Melbourne together, living together, being a part of this record label. And it's so common when music and creation just turns into business orientated. It can fucking ruin everything. Capitalism separates the tribe, But yeah, it took us about a year afterwards, and Manners and I, we reconnected, and he's one of my best friends to this day. But it's because we chose to grow through that and learn to understand what happened,
I don't want people to think that this episode isn't a bunch of negative shit, by the way. I knew that maybe was going to not be a great answer because I knew it was probably going to be bad.
This is all positive, bro.
I don't want it to to feel like I'm trying to what happened with this?
No, but it's all good, bro. Everything that happens in the dark comes to the light anyway.
Well, no, I mean,
and it's all a part of the journey, bro. And without those hard times, I wouldn't have learned all the value that I now know. And that's why I try not to, let that stuff get in the way. And I understand abundance and going with the flow and just creating with no expectations. Because when you don't expect stuff, that's when the blessings come. And, for mine and Luke's friendship, in the short time we've known each other, this is something that we're sharing, the attitude that we're both learning to understand. And for us, the blessings keep coming in because we don't expect shit. We just want to have a laugh and have fun and, have a laugh at some dick-shaped water guns.
I haven't seen them, but they sound funny. But I mean, it's probably... From your perspective, Luke, some people have, as we said, you can have all the flashy shit, but most of what you grew initially from was your phone, right? Like, it's amazing that we've got this thing that's in our pocket.
Man. I've always,
what do you think about the accessibility side of things, and what has it kind of taught you? Because even in this, right, I love having everything look amazing and it's good and it's worth it, but a big thing I've seen people talk a lot about lately with social media, and you actually touched on it the other day, is that we just overthink shit and we're like, everything has to be perfect. You've mentioned that you're a bit of a perfectionist, but the fact that you can just pull your phone out and do something, and that's all you did initially with the Snapchat filter and it blew up. What has that kind of taught you about execution and the accessibility to social media?
Yeah, like Grill said, you can have, I've seen other people that do social media and comedy and stuff like that, and they've got more equipment than me, and, they're in a better financial place than I am, which is okay. That's fine. But it's shown me what I can do with just, like you said, with just a phone. I've always known that I've been a funny person, and it's just kind of believing in myself that I am a funny person. But it's shown me that you don't need anything. You can literally just from having a phone, and at the start, it wasn't even a good phone, I've done TikToks and stuff like that with a smashed screen, still getting glass in my finger and going picking it out and stuff like that and get, maybe 40, 50,000 views just on one video. But it's just showing me, and like Grills has said it before, raw is more. So you can have all the equipment you want. If you just don't have it, that's and I don't mean to sound like a wanker, but you've either got it or you don't. And for me, I just like being natural. Like I could be doing social media and someone will see me and they see me in this certain light, but then 2 seconds before that, I'm sitting at Salvo's getting a food voucher. You know what I mean? So I'm still, you know, still a regular dad and still got regular struggles like some people experience. But it's shown me that you can do whatever you want. You don't need all the flash stuff. I think as long as you're open, you know, to put yourself out there. And again, like you said, I'm not a perfect person. But yeah, moving forward now, I just want to, I think it's just make people happy because I spent a lot of time, you know, not making people happy, including myself. That's one thing it's shown me, man. Like you don't need all this flashy stuff. You know what I mean? So,
and it's just you as well, right? Like you're a single father.
Yeah.
So that, and how many? You've got five kids?
Yeah. Well, I've got a stepdaughter. She's with my ex-partner, and I've got full-time care of my second eldest, and then 3 little ones to my ex-partner. So,
and that's gonna play a big role in like you doing what you're doing as well, right? Like you've got a life that you're living. It's not like you can just sit on your phone all day. So you've got to navigate that as well, which people don't see. They just think like, oh, these videos are coming out all the time. Yeah. But you've obviously got to navigate that lifestyle and things like you said, being at the Salvos and all that. People aren't seeing that, although they can probably relate to that more than anything.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of what's helped with social media and opportunities is I just say the struggles that I go through because I know there are people that are going through the same struggles. And if I can see someone else that's struggling, it's not that I'm happy to see them struggle. It just makes me feel more normal. You know what I mean? Especially like stuff around like drugs because I've always, you know, struggled with drugs and alcohol, like getting on the drink, off the drink, on the drink, off the drink. And that's always been another battle of mine. But I think I'm like an oversharer, but I just wear my heart on my sleeve.
Me too.
And I just, you know, again, people are going to say what they want to say and you can't stop that. But as long as I know that I'm just, you know, trying the best that I can with what I have. I think that was another thing that one of my best mates said, like Bully. He just said, well, you just got to work with what you've got, you know, and then the rest will follow. And like we've had them conversations, just whatever's meant to be will be.
100%.
And it's just trusting in the process. But because I've got hella anxiety and ADHD, so I like to have control of everything. So meeting Greeley and having like my brother boy JB, they're very trusting, you know, whatever will be, will be. But I don't want to do that. I want to control it, you know, because I always think the worst case scenario. But yeah, with social media and it's shown me like you literally can. Well, I was watching this bloke on YouTube, you know, and I'd heard a couple of his songs and it was just like, I thought he was a cool dude. Next minute, like we're cruising in a car in Perth and before that we're in Melbourne and then we're doing another Melbourne thing and then we're doing like the Elders Ball. Like everything just keeps flowing.
Yeah, and like 6 months ago, I was homeless for a month in Melbourne and I was on the phone to him crashing at Camp Sovereignty with the mob there, going through a real hard time. And that's when I was like, I was leaning on my faith with God, like everything's going to be okay. I just need to keep moving forward. And I was, having yarns with him. And then, you know, here we are like 4 months later and he came with me down to Camp Sovereignty and I took him down there to meet the mob there. And we both, you know, stood there and like had a few tears and we're just like, fuck, like, you know, he'd never been to Melbourne and we've been seeing everything happening over there. And I guess, you know, him having an insight to my personal journey while I'm also going through, you know, shit in life, but trying to also do what I do because hip hop for me has always been a coping mechanism. And when I was homeless, I was like, all right, I'm going to get an EP done. I'm going to do this. I need something to keep me afloat and not spiraling, fall back into addiction, fall back into violence, allowing my anger of like my personal circumstances. You know, I was angry at the time. I was so like frustrated that at 36 I've ended up homeless again. And when I'm in those situations, I'm very prone to snapping and being violent. And that's what landed me in jail. So I was at that point just like holding on, you know, to the light because that's all that I had. And here we are, not even 6 months later. And we drove up here today, you know, his boss lent us a car, shout out to Anna.
Yeah, shout out to Anna.
Yeah, like, and then through the organisation that he's working with, they see what I'm doing with him and they want to support us and, you know, they're a beautiful organisation of really trying to empower the community. You know, everyone that has been that's a part of it has had their own struggles, overcome addiction, prison, different things like that. So yeah, and they want to do hip hop events as well. So it looks like I might even be working with Luke in that organisation to help link it up with everything that I'm doing back in Melbourne with Breaking Bread, and we could end up putting on a Breaking Bread Battles event in Perth and link up with FBL and Asthmatic and all that crew, try and create some more pathways. I know like Perth always struggles with isolation and the gap between the West and the East Coast of Australia in hip hop, in media, in entertainment. And, you know, I have so much experience not only in Perth hip hop, but all through the East Coast. And I'm in such a blessed position of like, you know, I just went and did Take Flight. Shout outs to Wings. Like he's now going to come down to the Breaking Bread Battles at the next event. So we have Take Flight's full support. And then the next day after I was at Take Flight, I went to the movie screening for Undeniable, which is this new documentary on the history of Melbourne hip hop. I caught up with Bias B, Trem, DJJ Red, all the absolute legends and pioneers of hip hop in Australia, and like watched the documentary, and man, it was so good. And then like, and they were asking me what I thought of the documentary, and these guys are my idols from when I was a kid. And I was so honored that they would like ask me about it. And it's like, yeah, I'm just feel like I'm in such a blessed position through like the contribution that I've done with hip hop culture from all around Australia to try and bring more people together.
It's good that you're going to connect it to stuff here, man, as well, because as I've said to you, we are isolated, hence the name and the logo.
Yeah,
I decided to just attach to it, man, rather than try to. I've found it very frustrating. I was getting annoyed by it, right? Like, fuck, like there's just so much over there. It's, you know, like people, fucking J. Cole, he's like coming to Australia and just like ignores Perth.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like there'd be huge reasons for that. He'd be making that decision based on what's right for him. So understandable, but it's just that sort of thing where, you, as you said, you can get frustrated by it. You can feed the negativity and be annoyed, or I can just go, fuck it. We got you know, lots coming out of here. We got a lot of great people here, a lot of talented people, and then people like yourself are coming over, and you know, if we can have a Breaking Bread event here, that would be wicked as well.
Yeah.
And then people like yourself, Luke, will be involved too. And I just think it's cool. I think we need to highlight, as you said, it's about what you have. So we need to highlight what we have instead of worrying about it.
And build it ourselves.
Yeah.
Because this is a problem in Australia. Like everyone thinks they're missing out. And like half of the rappers in Melbourne think they're missing out. This is the thing. Like Tasmania, Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, they all look at Melbourne like they're missing out. And then everyone in Melbourne's like, no, we're being overlooked.
Yeah.
And like I go to Adelaide and they're like, oh, but we're not that good here. And it's like, it's the grass is greener attitude. And this is through all my traveling of living all around the country, I realize this is a common issue everywhere. It's the mentality. And if I learn anything from my journey of like hip hop and my experience in America as a kid, and then in Tassie hip hop, where, when I started, the whole of Australia didn't think there was a hip hop scene in Tasmania, and there was, but we had to build it for what it is. And now I'm proud to say we have one of the strongest hip hop scenes in the country where, you know, the artists that are down there are working hard and like they smash it. You know what I mean? Like Wombat is now, he has tracks with Devlin, like one of the pioneers of grime from England. You know, like Wombat is regarded as one of the best grime MCs in the world from people in England, where that comes from. And he's from Glenorchy. And that's the place where I used to go to the youth centre there and record beatboxing on a microphone when I was 15, you know? So
it's crazy.
It just goes to show, man, anything is possible. It doesn't matter how isolated you are. It's the mentality, being resourceful, being creative, and believing in yourself, and the world's your oyster. Like, one thing I'd say about Cursor that was different with him compared to everyone else is that he fucking believed in himself. He believed in himself and he worked hard. And while the whole country was like, oh, who's this lad from Sydney, making memes of him, talking shit about him, he was writing another album. He was getting a manager, and he just believed in himself and he backed himself. And now he is the most successful independent rapper in Australia. And he's living the dream, you know.
Shows it can be done.
It is, man.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
That was like the coolest thing, was like when we're at the battles, like having that conversation with Grills. He was at Camp Sovereignty, and like he was homeless, and like nobody, only a few of his close friends knew. But we were just having that conversation on that phone, and we are talking about it coming here. And I said to Grills, like, that's what meant more for me to see him do what he was doing. Because like all you mob in the crowd and all these people on stage don't even know. A couple of months ago, this bloke was homeless, and he's just got that hustler and grind mentality. So that's what, going back to your question, like you don't need nothing as long as you believe in yourself. And I'm starting to believe that now because he believes, and I'm like, I believe. But then like when more things happen, I'm like, I'm a bit more of a believer. Yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah.
So,
and then you got to be strong when something knocks you the other way too, to still keep believing as well, right? Because that can be a big part of it. And
it's a test, man.
Well, yeah. And you mentioned the negativity. I wanted to bring it up because you were saying that some people had said comments. Obviously, a lot of your humor was like, and Greeley was saying that he was like, relating to some of the humor, like and some of the Aboriginal humor in some of your videos and stuff as well.
Yep.
And then you were saying people making negative comments about that. But I think it's interesting now that we're seeing, even in Perth or Western Australia or Australia in general, that there's so many different. I'm trying to think of the name of that company. The comedy, those comedy guys that are Aboriginal guys. There's like 2 or 3 of them, and they ended up having their own channel. You must know who I'm talking about.
I think I've seen it on TikTok.
You might know who I'm talking about now.
Some snippets I've seen.
They've got their own channel, and then there's like I reviewed like a film that was shot in Albany a little while ago. There was a film shot here, and Mark Cole Smith. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's an Aboriginal actor I think he's from Western Australia as well. And so I feel like you're talking about there's a lot of these kind of like comments that I'm surprised are still there.
Yeah,
but. You make a lot of videos on that sort of like sense of humor, and obviously you have a lot of support from like other people as well. And so in our industry here, and like the ability to make it in the industry that maybe years ago you wouldn't have been able to because of things like discrimination. Like has that kind of helped you? Like when you see other people that are making it in the industry that are Aboriginal as well, and does that make you kind of realize as well that there's like more of a pathway now than there used to be?
Yeah.
It's because people are making racist comments, which is surprising because I feel like now we're not where we used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, so there was a chick that I know, so her name's Tegan. So she, her comedy is All You Fellas. So that's like her name. Linking up with her. So she's from Perth. And we were able to go to Carnarvon and do like an event up there. And again, we got paid for it, and we never thought something like that could happen. So I think social media in general has shown me like what's possible if you just put yourself out there, and it hasn't happened overnight for me. And again, I still struggle with personal things. I still struggle like financially. I still struggle with all that stuff. But looking at social media, I can see what's possible. And not just because because we're sitting here, but this is another thing. It's another like you are on the right track. You just got to keep grinding.
You weren't aware of nothing, and I just messaged you, right? And then obviously I'd spoken to Andrew, and like it all just happened like pretty organically. It wasn't like,
Yeah, I mean, I still trip out, man, that people still watch me. Like when we went to Melbourne, people knew me there, and I was like, "Do you know me?" And they're like, "Yeah, Uncle Shaneo." And then we went to we've been to places, and people have known me, and I didn't expect them to. Like I went to Tamworth. Which is Tamworth. It's not Tamsworth. So when I was there, I was calling it Tamsworth the whole time, and nobody was correcting me. So I looked like a bit of a dickhead. But I think it's experiencing it, what can actually come from it, man. Like, again, not a perfect human being, but social media has shown me, as long as you just give it a crack. And I look at other like blackfella comedians, but to be honest, I feel like I'm very unique. I feel like I'm different to a lot of other blackfella comedians. I feel like I'm more raw, and I got that real Noongar sense of humour, which some people don't know how to take. Both blackfellas and Wadjulas. So I think
that's kind of wanted to highlight it because you mentioned there was negative comments, and it's like to me interesting because I feel like things are a lot more progressive now than they were years ago. So to me, I feel like it's weird to me that I guess people would still see that as an opportunity when you're doing comedy and it's doing well, to even sort of bring that into the conversation, I suppose. Like, and you can't let it discourage you, which you obviously don't, which is good.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I'm just the funny guy.
Yeah,
I'm like, if you want to be a gangster, go pick on a gangster, or you want to be, this political person, go talk to someone about politics. I'm the funny guy. You know what I mean? I never used to embrace being the funny guy, but I got no beef with nobody. I'm not in the streets. I'm old. I got, you know, I got kids, been there, done that with certain things, and I just really want to be happy as I can be. I'm just a regular dude, but I don't have. Again, I can dress the way I dress, and I've got face tattoos and all that stuff. I'm just a big softie, you know. And I think that's when sometimes I get them comments. I'm like, really, you want to pick on the funny guy? Why don't you go pick on that dude there, or don't pick on anyone and just, you know what I mean? But it's you put yourself out on social media. You got to be realistic.
100%, man. And I think the world is progressing in so many ways, but there's so many creases to iron out. And once again, some people that choose not to move forward, it's up to them.
Yeah, well, like you said, they're focusing on it. They're taking up their
and it's
time.
A reflection of their, all negativity, whether it comes from sexism, racism, any of the isms, you know, it's just any of the isms, it's a reflection of their lack of comfortability.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like especially with racism, towards Indigenous culture in Australia, it comes from a lack of their centeredness in their culture. You know, it's like when you see, you know, white fellas on the internet whinging about welcome to countries, why should we have to deal with this and that sort of stuff? It's really because it comes from an insecurity of arguing about my land or no, but and it's look, if you were all right and you understood this, you wouldn't be arguing in the comments.
Yeah, to me, it's the conversation that I find weird. The fact you're having it.
Oh yeah. But man, Darwinism affected the world in a dramatic way. You know, Charles Darwin came to Australia in the early 1800s, in the early colonization of this country. He wrote his theory of evolution. Charles Darwin's mate, Thomas Huxley, took that theory of evolution and put it into the education system as it was built. And that fucked the world up because, that theory was what created white supremacy. You know, for even the racist shit that you do see people saying in Facebook comments, that roots from the theories of Darwinism that was forced into the education system. And now we're looking at the education system is being rebuilt to, you know, actually acknowledge the culture that's been in this country for 60,000 years. But you still have people that, you know what they know from their grandparents that went to school at a time where the education system was still teaching lies that lead back to one scientist theory from fucking 200 years ago. So
I feel like you taught me more in 20 seconds just then than I've learned in the last year, right?
Yeah, bro.
You're a book of knowledge, man.
But it's all there, bro. That's the thing. We have access to all this information on our phones, you know?
Yeah.
If we choose to be resourceful and look for this, we can understand all the problems in the world because we can see the ways of thinking and we can track it back to how they started, you know, what it was like, where it was all stemmed from. And a lot of all that shit came from Masonic culture, the Freemasons, and Australia was built by Freemasons. If you look at the map of Canberra, it's literally the triangle, you know, and it was the Freemasons that built the schools. You know, one of the first schools in Australia was built in Tasmania. And I've gone deep to understand why we are the way that we are. And I love sharing it because it's all there. But that's why it's important for me to hip-hop being a culture of truth. You know, hip-hop came from New York when people in Brooklyn and the flats were burning down, the government was trying to hide it. You know, people were going through extreme poverty, cultural issues, all sorts of people. You know, New York's New York. You had people from all different backgrounds, they were being squashed into these commission flats that were being neglected by the government while the government's also going, New York, and just trying to get the whole world to come there. But they weren't even looking after their own community. And so those people needed to speak their truth to the world. And that's how hip hop started. And Australia has a strong history of sweeping this shit under the carpet. You know, a lot of people don't know about how, this is why there's Darwin in Northern Territory is called Darwin. It was named after Charles Darwin because he wrote his theories of evolution through coming to Tasmania, then going up through New South Wales before he ended up at the Galapagos Islands and, you know, seeing the turtles and all of that adding to his theory of evolution. That's why they called it Darwin after him. He never actually went to Darwin. But yeah.
I've never been to Darwin, but I'm assuming there would probably be some pretty like rich history. I've never really even.
It's
been.
actually probably the least colonized place out of any of the capital cities.
Really,
like they only really started building Darwin around 1900. You know, Tasmania that was first colonized from 1804 onwards. Right. Sydney being the first in 1788. I'm not exactly sure on the date that Fremantle and Perth was founded and whatever that was, but
something I should probably look into.
Yeah. I learned more about I learned more about the culture of Tasmania and spending a lot of my life there from 4 months in Darwin, because it's the opposite end of the country and it's like the most colonized to the least colonized. And even just spending time with Mob up there, learning about things from up there made me see the bubble that Tassie's stuck in when it comes to a colonized way of thinking, because that's such an isolated, colony.
I've heard it's a bit different over there. My mate just moved there, so I'm probably go there this year. So I'm keen to see it anyway.
Yeah, the country's so beautiful. Like the land down there, it's so special, and and shout outs to all the people down there that are moving forward and truth telling and healing down there. But there is a large section of down there that hasn't changed since 1830 when they sent out 150,000 convicts, And it took me to really spend time in prison down there to really start to, okay, why are things the way they are, and start to look deep into it. And it's all a journey, man.
It's crazy. I feel like we've gone deep in this podcast. It's good. I like it. I feel people might not expect it too. It's funny because people always, you, Luke, a lot of people probably expect it when they meet you, right? Because they only see the Shaneo video, so they probably meet you and then think like, oh, this guy's more serious than I expect. And I've had that with comedians, rappers. People just, you see a version of someone, then you meet people and, you're still human, so you're just going to be normal people. But that's always jarring for people when they meet you, they think.
They definitely, I bet people, a lot. Yeah, we thought you'd be different. Like I'm real anxious. Yeah, I get a lot of social anxiety. I'm a real homebody. Yeah. And when I get in certain spaces, like I kind of freak out a little bit around crowds and stuff like that. But still, like I feel like I'm an introvert, extrovert, kind of like mixed together.
You can turn it on when you need it, sort of thing.
Anxious, excited, anxious.
It's good to hear you talk about it though, because it's something I don't mention it too much, but I suffer with it chronically, and so like for me, that's probably why I push myself so hard into this. So it's good to hear. Like it's interesting when you hear people that are sort of doing their thing and still pushing themselves into it. And then they kind of say, "Oh, I'm doing that," and then it makes you sort of think like, "Oh, okay." So there is people out there that are pushing themselves into shit regardless of how they feel.
100%.
Mental health is huge, man. Some of the comedy I do is, it's a bit how you going, and certain people think that I'm like, trying to word it right. Like around certain things, like around women and stuff like that, and where I'm opposite,
like misogyny sort of thing.
More like a player and this and that. Whereas I'm I get nervous, you know what I mean?
Excited.
You want to go on a date? Sure. And then I just won't talk to him again.
Do you ever get the mums at school where they want to talk to Uncle Shaneo? Andrew's a small place, man.
There's a few mums. A few mums and a couple of aunties and this and that.
I'm happy for you. I love it. That's good to hear. We hit some deep stuff. So I'm going to give some quick fires before we finish here, because I always love this. It's not going to be cheese, don't worry. But I love this question for some reason. Might be a little bit raw for you, Andrew, because you actually have been in jail. Not on death row though. But if you got one meal, right? Like let's say you're on death row, you got one meal left. I'm curious to hear both your answers, right? You got one meal, that's it. What are you going to eat?
It'd either be, maybe like, I can't say one, but like the three options I'd think about would be hangi, because I love NZ mob food, damper and kangaroo stew, or KFC.
That's a hectic mix. That's a hectic
That's the blackest feet all through.
Whose toilet you bombing after that? That's hectic. No, look, man, KFC. To me, that works for me if you're on death row, because then I don't have to feel what you got to feel after you eat KFC.
Yeah.
I feel like fucking shit after I eat that. What about you, Andrew?
Well, probably be Flathead. Yeah, Flathead. Like all seafood, it'd be like a fisherman's basket from Muir's. That's what I'd like. Yeah,
I like how that kicked him.
Straight super specific.
Yeah, because like Muir's is a big like seafood restaurant right on the docks in Salamanca, and Tasmanian seafood, man, all down there. Oysters off the rocks from down there. Yeah, but a fisherman's basket, because that way I get all the things, you know.
All the shit. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
But yeah, the seafood where I grew up is the best in the world, you know.
I have to try someone to go there.
Yeah, the salmon industry's fucking it up. They're polluting all the waters, and it's creating bacteria, and now they've got vaccines for the salmon because the Tasmanian government are pretty much outsourcing all the salmon industry, and they're fucking destroying it, and it's affecting endangered species like the Morgine skate, which is it looks like a dinosaur stingray. It's on the west coast of Tasmania, but that's about to go extinct because of Tassal. So yeah, fuck Tassal. They're fucking shit up down there massively. There's a lot of corruption when it comes to that because Lutruwita, Tasmania is one of the most pristine places left on the world. The cleanest air, the Wagyu beef that comes from the grass-fed cows up on the northwest coast of Tassie is the best beef. Like I was cherry picking when I was like 18, and the cherries we were picking, they was selling to China for $90 a punnet. You know, like
wow.
Yeah, because all the produce down there is so pristine. But
I got a feeling you weren't getting a good portion of that $90.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Nah.
And then as well, they grow all the opiates for like, I was thinking like something like, it might have changed, but at one point it was like 70% of the opiates for the medical industry in the world. Like if you look up Australian exports, like opium is like one of the biggest, and most of it comes from poppies that are grown in Tasmania. Yeah, so that's like morphine, codeine, all the Oxycontin in America. Yeah, a lot of it comes from the poppies that are grown in Tasmania. It's like the Columbia of
Australia, really.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I've always been a pretty big fan of painkillers myself, so not much these days, but,
It's dangerous, bro.
Look, if you have a tough day, you know what I mean? One codeine will be all right. Not that you can fucking get them anymore anyway.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing. If you could like hang out with, collaborate with, do whatever with one person in history, like whether they're alive or dead, you know what I mean? Fact, fiction, sort of like, fictional character, anyone, just for like 24 hours. You can hang around anyone. Who are you picking?
That's a hard one, So it's got to be a famous person?
Can be anyone. Can be just anyone ever. Like, but I like to say they can be fictional or alive or dead because it gives you more options.
Yeah.
Lots of people say random shit. I've had like 2 people say Hitler, which is a weird answer. I think they're like, I just want to know how he thinks. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I'd rather hang out with someone cool. But people have said, just as many people have said Jesus. So
Yeah. I don't know if I can give one, but Pharrell Williams. Probably one fella. I'm Noongar, so Chris Brown.
I was meant to say Chris Brown.
Every Noongar I think said Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Or Robin Williams.
That's a good answer. He would, man.
Yeah.
Robin Williams when he was like 20 though, or Robin Williams when he was like 45? Because he partied a bit too hard when he was younger. I don't know if I could have kept up with him.
I reckon the older version, because then you could hear all the wisdom he's got,
Way wiser, eh? Yeah. I love that answer. Good answer.
For me at the moment on my journey, it'd be Mike Righteous from the UK.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
He is so underrated as an MC.
Yeah. I mean, I really align with him and his journey and his perspective. I've been listening to his new stuff over the last few months, and it's been very inspiring, especially on the journey through the hip-hop industry, the journey of ego, the journey of skill. He's always inspired me as a craftsman when it comes to lyricism. But yeah, kind of seeing where he's at in life, through relationships, trauma, understanding all of that. Yeah, I really align with him. So, it'll happen one day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
He cranks, man. There's a bit of a sleeper movie that no one maybe may have seen. He's in a movie called Offender.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's like a jail movie, but he's in it.
True.
And he's rapping verses in it as well. He plays like one of the prisoners. So it's
I am aware of it. I haven't watched it though.
It is pretty cool. I mean, to be fair, if you'd been to jail, I imagine it's probably when you haven't been to jail, you watch jail movies. I imagine once you've been in one, you probably don't want to watch heaps of movies.
Yeah,
about
it definitely changes the dynamic.
Yeah, it would. Look, lastly, I guess, and this is probably just going to be throwing it over to you guys. I noticed we mentioned it before. To finish up, you've got things like the Freako clothing brand, and that's you, Luke, and one of your mates.
Yeah, so there's a crew of us. So originally starting, with the brother boy JB, and then now we've got another brother boy, Aaron. So it's me, JB, Aaron, and JB's Mrs. Sint. So there's four of us. It's like the shirt that I'm wearing now. These are one of them, and like the hat that I've got on there. Also working for an organisation, Aliana Nexus. So they're the mob that are going to be doing an elders event, like at the ball. That have invited me and Greeley to MC that. That's pretty much it. This comedy thing that's coming up with Grills.
Yeah.
And
Cups of tea.
Yeah, and then the battles.
Yeah, so we got the next Breaking Bread Battles event is going to be April 11th and April 10th. We're going to do it at the Espy in St Kilda and also Union Heights on Chapel Street. So we got 2 events. It's going to be hosted by Uncle Shaneo, Barker, and myself. We have some epic battles. We're going to have Dundee versus Disaster from America. We're going to have Manners versus Jerry Grimefeld, the winner of the Take Flight comp. We're going to have Brat here from WA, homegrown artist, battling Damien Illick from Melbourne. We've got Harlem versus Harlem versus Scrub, Eric Devine versus Raz. They both just came off their last battles at the last event, did really well, so those battles are going to be crazy. We got Soap Suds from Adelaide battling Deliver from Brisbane. Soap Suds representing Watch Your Mouth battles. Deliver coming from Real Talk battles. We got, Kano is another Perth guy coming out. He's going to be battling on the first night. It's all happening. We're going to have 14 battles that weekend, April 10th and 11th. And I can't wait to host it with Luke here and Barker. She's a weapon, she's so much fun, nothing but good energy from her. And we've already been coming up with ideas on how to have fun. So it's all coming up, man.
Sounds like it's going to be a great event.
Some Perth stuff too, like with the battles too, that Grills is going to, with this organisation, I reckon that's going to be sick as well. So.
I really want to connect the dots, and the interesting thing I've always noticed about Perth hip-hop, there's lots of little sections, and sometimes like even when I first started coming over here, I was hanging out with the guys on the north side, hanging out with the guys on the south side, and I'd ask either side, I'm like, why don't you hang out with each other? And people be like, I just keep to ourselves. And then as the years go on, they've all ended up becoming good friends. And then, people, when I met them here, they were down here, and now they're up here, and they've got on their own journey and their career, and, that's their business. But for me, it's always important to keep creating pathways for the new generations, the new people coming into the scene, help break down the walls, because hip-hop, business, as like we was talking about with LMG, ego, all these things that can create divide. But hip-hop and culture is about us coming together, really overcoming that shit to kind of align. And so, I'm so grateful to, for mine and Luke's journey to align. We've, become good friends, be back over in WA, reconnecting with people that I love over here, and I just want to keep doing what I do, and use every opportunity to make the most of, and watch the blessings continue, man. And including, coming here and seeing you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and reconnecting with you, bro. Support you with what you're doing with this podcast, and make it so we're not all isolated.
Yeah, look,
I
love it, man. We're going to try to, look, if we can ever change it, it's now. We're in a place, as we've said, Luke's mentioning, you got something in your pocket that can change the world in a positive way if you choose to use it that way. We can connect, and we can all basically, support each other. I listened to The Pendulum, by the way. Great work.
Thank you, man.
If you haven't heard that, it's Greeley's latest EP. You can find it on Spotify.
Thank you very much.
These guys will announce their show, Cups of Tea,
Yeah.
Guys, we'll announce the date for that. We don't have it yet, but I'm sure it'll be soon.
Yeah.
And that'll
Probably
be
6th and 7th of March. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
There you
I've
go.
got to email the bloke after this and lock it in, but that's what it was looking like.
Fire in your belly in Fremantle. I've been there before, so it's a good
Sick.
venue.
Sick.
Yeah. And yeah, look, thanks a lot for coming on, guys. You know, we'll have lots of this stuff out as well, and I look forward to following what you're doing. And I'm, you know, proud to be from Perth, proud that you guys are in Perth, and I appreciate the conversations we've had today. So thank you, Luke and Andrew.
Oh, good, brother.
Yeah, very grateful. Thank you, man.